Welcome to Voice of the Nation. I'm Chan Chai Wong. At 20th China Communist Party Congress, Xi Jinping is set to rule for a third term as he claimed historic achievement for China in the past 10 years under his rule. What he has in mind for China's development in the next 5 years. We are going to talk with our guest today, Dr. Phaichit Vibulthanasan, Vice Chairman and Secretary General of the Thai Chamber of Commerce in China. สวัสดีครับ ดร. ไพจิตร
สวัสดีครับสวัสดีคุณชัดชัยแล้วก็เป็นแฟนรายการ Hello everyone.
Hi, thank you for coming to our program again. First of all, what do you think about Xi Jinping opening speech at the 20th Communist Party Congress yesterday?
In fact, because what he report was about the previous performance in the past, say, decade, in the past 10 years. So to me, there was nothing new much. However, when we talk about this kind of what he say, there are some key issues that maybe we can discuss and reflect. Some of the trend, that he would like to emphasize maybe in the next 5 years. For example, First of all, in terms of the theme, I think he focused more on the modernization of the socialist modernization.
Yes.
Okay. Of course, he emphasized 3 major events. First of all is he embraced the 100 years, or anniversary of the Communist Party, right? He also mentioned about the conduction of the new era of socialism modernization, and of course, probably to me, could be one of the key issues is the poverty eradication.
Yes.
That the Communist Party successfully, achieved such a goal in all respect.
Okay, can we say that in the past 10 years, Xi Jinping has been quite successful with his policy, so that there is not really a necessity for the Communist Party to make any changes?
I would say President Xi Jinping was quite successful, but of course, to him, I think he continued to improve things, at all time. So maybe what we may see is some of the policy adjustment or policy extension in the future as well.
Okay, and personally, what do you think is Xi Jinping's greatest achievement in the past 10 years, as he had been a leader of China for 10 years already?
Okay, I think first of all, in terms of reform, in terms of opening up, and of course the socialist modernization that I just mentioned are the key message that he would like to deliver. And to me, I think he successfully achieved such a goals.
Yes, and personally, I think that the greatest achievement of Xi Jinping was the way that he handled the poverty problem in China. Because
yes.
I think that in the past few years that the poverty in China has been reduced, almost gone, almost disappeared.
Right. He, in fact, when we talk about the number of population that has been elevated, above the poverty line, we are talking about 800 million people, all right? And within the past 10 years, is the last 100 million people, which is probably the most difficult, because the poverty line is picking up, and China has, confront with several crises.
Yes, and also the difference between rich people and poor people, urban people and rural people, also minimized.
Yes, the income distribution is also another issues. Of course, he still will continue, to put this forward as one of the major challenge in the second centuries of the Communist Party as well.
Okay, can I ask you how Xi Jinping handled the poverty and inequality so effectively?
Well, he has done, several things. Imagine during the, let me give you some example.
Yes,
Imagine the year 2020. That was the very first years that China, faced with the COVID-19 crisis, right?
yes,
He sit down as a chairperson, try to reconvene, all the people involved, energize them and ask them that this is the very last step, that we going to trying to achieve such a goal that have been
okay,
done, almost say 100 years. I mean, with the Communist Party, the poverty alleviation is something that has already been put as the major policy. So in doing so, he not only pull the rich down, he didn't do this, but he
yes,
tried to lift up the poor, you know, to the middle
yes.
class. So
Mm.
with the continuous economic growth, I think China has successfully, eradicate such a poverty.
Okay, so the rich people staying rich and poor people becoming richer.
Uh, you're right. And also, he tried to tell and maybe
Yes,
ask the rich to care more to the poor. So that what we have seen in the past several years during his administration was that you see the number of big corporation
yes,
has set up special foundation in order to help the poor, especially in the rural areas.
okay,
They send staff, even not only the private sector but also from the government sectors, to help the poor people. uh,
okay.
some of
So,
my some of my friends, my colleagues, who work for the government, he said, oh, during these years, they are tiresome because during the daytime, the weekday, they work in the cities, the table, right? Over the weekend, they have to go to the rural areas, work,
okay,
in how to lift up the wealth of the poor
okay.
people. Yes,
So the rich and the big corporate also becoming more responsible and help to lift up the poverty line in China. And
yes.
okay, and now what are some of the things that you think Xi Jinping could have done better in the past 10 years?
I think if there were no crisis, I think the income distribution that he tried to pursue would be even better. But with the COVID-19 crisis, with the slowdown of the economic growth, right, that make, I think, his goal a little bit lower than expected. But I think
Okay,
in the second century goal of the Communist Party, he would try to encourage people, that we still, can continue to achieve and move forward to in order to achieve such a goal in the futures.
okay. And talking about COVID zero policy, yesterday Xi Jinping also praised this policy a lot. So should we expect that this policy, COVID zero, will still be implemented for some time? It's not going away soon.
I do agree, but of course, as I always say, when China do things, they try to walk across the river, by touching the stone. They say this is
Okay,
a Chinese proverb. So what they would do is they would, in the past years, you may see that they are starting to reduce the quarantine period step by step. All right, and try to maybe expand the areas, from uh, in terms of the city quarantine. They try to limit only to the village, or
okay,
small communities. These kind of things will help reduce, the I would say the objection to the policy.
Okay.
But I do hope that by the end of this year, this kind of
Okay.
policy will be even more relaxed.
Okay, I hope so. So that less people becoming uh, less affected by the COVID zero policy.
Right.
Okay, and let's talk about the corruption policy, because I think that this is one of the things that Xi Jinping took very seriously. Do you think that why Xi Jinping took a problem of corruption within the party very seriously and very aggressive?
Some of the people say this is the political issues, but on the other hand, seriously, what Xi Jinping has mentioned about corruption issues is that this is one of the key issues that may destroy, the image of the Communist Party. That's why he put all the effort and resources, in order to solve this problem. And so far he has successfully done it.
Okay, and in his opening remark yesterday, he talked a lot about the socialist society with a Chinese characteristic.
Right.
In your view, what is this Chinese characteristic he is talking about?
Okay. For one side, he will continue to be socialist, but it's not a pure socialist theoretically like in the past. Right.
Okay.
In other words, they have adjust, the idea, from time to time. So in order to add the Chinese characteristic, they would try to use this. That's why they use the word. I did say socialist modernization as
Yes.
one of the option that country or people all over the world, can learn or use as an option, right? And this may relate to some of the key issues of policy like common prosperity.
Okay.
If you want to be stronger, if you want to go rich, you have to bring the whole nation or the whole people of the nation, to be
Okay.
with you.
Okay. So simply put, you can be socialist and you can also be rich at the same time.
That's right.
Okay.
Exactly.
But everybody in the society has to be live up together, not just one group of society getting rich while leaving another group behind.
Right. In that case, they will have the income distribution problem, right? As we
Okay.
discussed earlier, right? And
Yes.
this may cause economic and social crisis, internally.
Okay. And now let's talk about the foreign policy, because it is expected that China might intensify pressure to seize Taiwan. Should we worry that China may use a military force against Taiwan?
When you say may use, yes, Xi Jinping also did say, that he will reserve, the I would say all the resource and measures, necessary, and that also means the use of force, right? But however, he said Taiwan issues or Taiwan questions is the problem of Chinese people, should be handled or solved or resolved by the Chinese people. In other words, he doesn't want, another countries, the
Or
outsiders,
interfere?
to come in, to step in and intervene the issues.
Yes.
But as the final resolution is belong to the Chinese people's hands.
Okay. He said that he will use the peaceful mean, and
Yes,
and the military force will only be used as the last resort.
exactly. With all this, I think it's also gain, I would say, popularity, among even the Chinese and of course the foreigners these days. The stance of the Communist Party, especially Xi Jinping, doesn't change, right?
Okay. And what do you think China under Xi third term will be like for the next 5 years?
I think we will see the continuities and the extension of several policy, right? Uh, in fact, during his speech, he mentioned several things, right? Some more, some less. But to me, in terms of policy, what we may see is this. We have heard about Made in China 2025, right? But
Yes.
after the year 2025, we may see maybe the policy like created or innovated in China 2035. Okay,
Yes.
we may see the word, well, because in the past 10 years we have used the word uh, high high quality development, right?
Yes.
But in the future they may use the word higher, right, quality development. So
Okay.
the development will be even in a higher scale in terms of quality. We talk about urbanization, we talk about lower tier cities development in the past. In the futures, I think in the next 5 years, we may see the rural areas regionalization. Okay,
Okay.
we may see city cluster development. Okay,
Okay.
some of the issues like common prosperity to me would not be limited only in a domestic areas. It could be
Okay.
common prosperity plus,
Yes.
right? In other words, step outside, try to pass this concept of common prosperity to other countries as well.
Okay.
And I'm sure that there will be more of the previous policy in terms of continuities like corruption that you mentioned earlier, deepening of the reforms, market mechanism, as
Yes.
well as like the word like people center, because the word people in his speech right now has been mentioned number one in terms of number of counts,
Okay.
in his speech. So
Okay.
so this we'll see more, all right, in the next 5 years for sure.
Okay. And my last question, what are the things that Chinese people would like the Communist Party or Xi Jinping to handle or to resolve to help with the people right away?
I think the upfront problem that China is facing right now is the economic issues. All
Okay.
right, a number of Chinese, of course, because China have faced with several crises in the past few years. So the economic growth has been lower than expected, at a certain level. But with all the policy that we mentioned, and of course, with the new prime ministers, I'm sure, that the Chinese government will be able to help boost the economy and rejuvenate the rural areas, in the near futures.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Paichit Vibhulthanasan, for talking with us today. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
ขอบคุณครับ สวัสดีครับ And that's all for Voice of the Nation. Thank you for staying with us.